Good evening and welcome to the September 2nd Falmouth Conservation Commission meeting. At this time, we would ask that if you have electronic devices or cell phones, if you'd silence them, we'd really appreciate it. If you're here to speak on an application, we just ask that you go to the podium and give us your name for the recording secretary. And we encourage you to go up there, please. If you got something to say, we want to hear it. All right, first thing on the agenda tonight is both the minutes of August 26, 2015.
Can we hold these? Because some of us haven't gotten them.
I haven't gotten, that I know of.
Somebody want to make a
I
motion
make
to
a motion
continue?
to continue these to September 16th.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, so we'll continue those minutes till September 16th. All right. First up, request to continue hearing under a determination of applicability. Antoinette Steinecker, 24 Maker Lane, West Falmouth, Mass. For permission to fill and grade the area around the northeast corner of the house to bring the ground elevation to 15 feet. Disturbed areas to be landscaped. Jen?
Well, you're looking, isn't Maker Lane in Falmouth, not West Falmouth?
West Falmouth. It's off of Sipworth Road.
Yeah, it is.
But that's considered West Falmouth there?
Yeah, yep. It's in our voting district.
Oh.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until,
9/16.
which one, the 16th?
At the request of the applicant, we will continue this to 9/16.
Second.
Maury, and I guess Mary. Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Request to continue hearings under a notice of intent. Ian and Catherine McDonald, 11 Snug Harbor Lane, West Falmouth, Mass. For permission to renovate the existing dwelling, which includes removing the existing porch and balcony, construct a covered patio, stone steps, relocate shower, removal of existing landscaped pond, remove ornamental plantings and install native mitigation plantings, dry wells, utilities, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I believe the applicant is requesting a continuance until September 16th.
So moved.
Second.
Betsy? Maury? Comments from the board? Comments from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Oh, wait, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. I have to go back downstairs and grab my stuff and pick him up.
This is one.
Now, hang on a second.
Yeah, Snug Harbor is the 23rd, that's my
23rd.
mistake.
Okay,
All right, you want to
I make a new
amend?
motion.
You want to make a new motion or
I
amend
make a
it?
motion to undo the last vote and to have a new vote for September 23rd.
And I second mine for that date.
Susan, you okay? All right. Comments, questions? Comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Okay, now we go to Jacqueline Holmes, 41 Cove Street, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to install approximately 160 feet of core fiber rolls consisting of 20-foot rolls, 5 rolls deep along the shore front area to maintain pruning in the existing 50-foot wide vista pruning corridor and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until October 14th.
So moved.
Second.
Maury? Mary? Comments or questions from the board?
I just had one question. Is this the one that needed the selectmen's permission?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the board? Everybody's good? Comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Mr. Chairman, did you guys actually vote to continue 11 Snug Harbor to September 23rd?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
At the
Okay.
same time you undid the other one?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to change it again?
You good with that?
Yeah, we'll go with it.
All right, request for determination of applicability. Sylvia Van Vatuk, 239 Sipwisser Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to cut and remove invasive devil's walking stick, treat with herbicide, and conduct ongoing treatment and monitoring to eradicate this plant. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and the bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question.
Maury and Mary, and the question is, Betsy.
What's devil's walking stick?
A highly invasive plant. The pictures are downstairs. I will bring them up. I left everything downstairs for some reason. I have to run it.
Okay, if you could just send me the scientific name
Yes.
at some point, thanks.
All right, any other questions from anyone on the board? Hearing none, questions from the, or comments from the audience?
Always good to learn about new invasive plants.
Yeah, I had to look this one up too.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it does mimic sumac.
Yeah.
With
But
a-
with some
it's
with
an
some of these,
alternate-
you see it once, and then the next year you see 10 times as many, and
Yeah.
the next year you
Yeah.
see 100 times as
Yeah,
much.
it's been
It's like that
creeping across the
mustard.
lawn for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Next up is Friends of the Cove, care of Patricia Johnson, 10 Point Road, North Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove and treat common reed, Phragmites australis, remove vines, invasive vegetation, maintain existing paths and grass, and conduct routine activities allowed under the conservation restriction. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're recommending a -2 under the state and bylaw with the resource area boundaries not confirmed.
So moved.
Second.
I'll give that to Maury and Mike, how's that? Got that?
I don't
Don't
care.
get paid.
You don't get? All right. You get that, Susan?
I did.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Questions or comment from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved. All right. And the next one is, we continue that already, that's Maker Lane. All right, and requests for a hearing under notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetland Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. And first up, we've got Seacoast Shores Association, care of William Erickson, lots 10A, Edgewater Drive East, map 0300K-010K, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove an existing stone rubble wall, remove cobbles at the drain pipe, install 4 to 6 core fiber rolls, 20 inches in diameter, and native plantings, 2-foot thick chink stones over both ends of the fiber rolls, construct a triple stack 7 by 16 foot dinghy rack for 9 boats, a triple stack dinghy rack for 6 boats, install a dinghy launch and associated clearing, grading, excavating, grading, and landscaping. And Jen is not here right now. Good evening, sir. Could you give us your name, please?
I'm Stan Humphreys, coastal geologist with LEC Environmental Consultants. And with me tonight also are at least a couple of members of the association, Bill Erickson and Dick Setti. If you want me to proceed or wait till Jen comes back.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, Jen, look at that.
Come back.
Just like that. We held your comments till he did his presentation. How's that?
Okay, that sounds good.
This is one of several water access ways owned and managed by the association, shown here in yellow. The existing conditions from north to south along the shoreline in particular include a small section of stone riprap. The 24-inch reinforced concrete pipe that's on the property is for stormwater drainage off the street. There's small, less than 10-inch diameter cobble that's been placed around that pipe and along the road and coastal bank. There's an existing eroded bank about 30 feet in length. And then on the south side is a stone revetment that was constructed, I believe, in the last 2 or 3 years, protecting a pre-78 house. About 10 years ago, the stairway was constructed that has survived very well. There were 2 rows of fiber logs that were staked in with wooden stakes only, and they've since been eroded and moved elsewhere off the property. So the main goal of this project is to stabilize and protect the coastal bank that will protect the upland area, which is used primarily for dinghy storage, kayak storage. And this time the anchoring system is greatly improved with a steel cable system that wraps around each of the logs. They'll range in number from 6 at the south side, which goes up to about 6 feet in height, and then the bank slopes down to about 3 or 4 feet in the north side, and so the logs will be reduced to about 4 rows at that northern end. They'll be set into the bank after all small cobble that's loose is removed. And then the anchoring system also consists of duckbill anchors that are going to go back into this natural bank that is exposed at this time. The logs will be covered with material sand and then vegetated with this salt-tolerant seed mix. Some shrubs will be planted at the top. The kayak and dinghy rack storage, 2 of them, are very similar to the ones that have been used by the association and approved by the commission on what I understand the RDAs in the past. And then finally, there is somewhat of a unique dinghy launch that will be attached to the existing stairs. It only requires 4 4x4 posts, and then that will be bridged off the stairs with appropriate 2x4s, and essentially provide a rail system for these kayaks and dinghies to be hauled up and down on the side of the stairs. It's been very problematic lifting the watercraft up the stairs, and while people are coming down, and this is really more or less a safety measure that's being taken by adding this launch. So with that, I'll take questions.
Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as the board knows, the department and the commission has been working with the Seacoast Shores Association for the past couple of years to improve and address all the issues concerning the association's right-of-ways. Dinghy racks are one of them. This was a very problematic right-of-way for the association as it is eroding away. So I'm happy to see that it's being addressed, that the dinghy racks are going in. Just a couple of questions. Stan, did you talk to the town engineering department regarding that pipe prior to putting this plan together?
Did not, no.
Okay, I actually will be going out there tomorrow to look at a private right-of-way that has a drainage pipe issue down the road, and we are going to stop at this one on our way back with this plan just to make sure they don't have any concerns with what you're proposing to do.
Yeah, it
Okay.
would be good to get their feedback on
Yeah,
the extent
okay.
and the amount of cobble to remove, because
Yeah.
some of that may be there to stabilize the
Yep, so I'm
pipe.
gonna, one of the staff engineers and I will be out there tomorrow morning
Okay.
to look at this. So if they have any comments, we may have to continue just this, just to make sure that they don't have any comments regarding this pipe. The only other thing, I get the idea of the launch. The stairs aren't wide enough. People can't wait while somebody brings their boat up until somebody else comes down. I don't get that. Because I actually thought the stairs were a good width. They're not a narrow set of stairs. You're going to keep the stairs that are there, right?
Yes, the stairs will stay there.
Yeah, okay.
I think maybe a response from Bill Erickson may be appropriate.
Okay, that's fine.
He's more familiar with the use problems.
You just come up to the podium, sir,
Sure.
and give your name for the record.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for taking the time to hear us. I'm Bill Erickson. I'm the chairman of the Right-of-Way Committee for Seacoast Shores. This particular right-of-way was, we tried to stabilize it 10 years ago, and that stabilization failed due to a combination of storm activity as well as the use of it. Even though we put up stairs, people found it very difficult to move their dinghies up and down the stairs. Unfortunately, we really can't dictate to the residents what size and weight dinghy they have. And some of them have dinghies that weigh so much it takes 2 strong men just to lift it up and down, and coming up is more difficult. So some people, unfortunately, thought it was easier to just drag it up the quad rolls, and that contributed to the quick erosion and short life of those elements. So every thought went into this to try to come up with ways to keep people off of the quad rolls once the work is done. So the stairs are there so that people can walk up and down if they just want to walk into the water. And for those that want to bring a dinghy up and down, we thought the idea of 2 rails right beside the stairs would give them that easy access so that they could get the dinghies down into the water and then pull it back up without trying to struggle them up the stairs and without dragging them on the quad rolls and damaging them again. So that was the logic behind it, as well as, I know I didn't mention safety. That really was the chief operating factor. While Stan was there, while Mr. Humphreys was there looking at it with us, we had a couple of members come to launch a dinghy, and they tried to bring it up and down the stairs, and a couple of times they almost fell. So there is a little bit of a safety issue there that we'd also like to address with this.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know. I bring my dinghy up and down a set of stairs off the causeway over near Little River all the time and don't have a problem, and I'm not that strong, so I'm just curious. I get what you're trying to do, Mr. Erickson, I really do. And thank you for working with us through this whole process. I appreciate
Thank you for all
it.
your help. And I won't hesitate to thank you in front of the entire board and everybody here. You have been a true asset to Seacoast Shores
Thank
over these
you.
last 2 years. So thank you for all your help.
I will get back in touch with you, Stan and Bill, when I go out there with Scott tomorrow morning. We'll be out there at the other right-of-way probably between 8:30 and 9, so we should be around here about 9:15. And if he has any major concerns, I will let you know.
All set, Jen?
Yeah, I'm just trying to envision that launch, that's
I
all.
know, me too.
Stan, you're going to attach it to the set of stairs?
Correct.
Okay.
So there's like a plan view in the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah.
Bikes, we have to go up.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying,
Lower
yeah.
right-hand corner.
Oh, yeah, I don't really have an issue with it. I'd rather have that than having people drag them up over the logs, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's fine. No other questions.
This makes sense. You're good, Jen?
I'm fine.
Okay. I did witness, I happened to do my
Yeah.
site visit, and 2 people were coming down with kayaks, and they dumped it right over the bank. So now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
really
that's,
twofold, really try to stop the impact.
yeah.
Once we do this work, gosh, we don't want to have to come here again for a 3rd time to go through this if we can help it, so.
Okay. Courtney, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, do you anticipate that this rail system will enable people to send their dinghies down to the water and bring them out without a lot of struggle and help, or,
Yeah.
I mean, you said it was a problem for them to go up and down the stairs, so.
Yeah, the
Mr. Erickson, you're gonna have to go back to the
Okay.
podium, because
I'm sorry.
this is on record, and it's for the,
I'm gonna make a suggestion, but I'll hear your feedback.
Happy to hear the suggestion, but the answer is the steps are as steep as steps. It's got the grade of steps. And so the idea with the ramp is that grade will be more gradual. And where they're right beside the steps, we're going to configure this so that one person could lift their dinghy up onto the rail and then get right beside it on the stairs.
And drag
And with
it
a
up.
rope, walk down the stairs and guide the dinghy down the ramp.
So it would not be necessary to have a winch or anything like that?
Our goal is to avoid any type of mechanical equipment that would have to go with it.
Just for, you might want to provide for that if you have, you don't have to put the winch in, but I'm just saying provide for it when you build this, so that if you find that you have to do that.
Well, it's a good point. We were going to put a header board in front of the ramp, just sort of a visual block to keep people from trying to walk on the ramp. Because, kids are daredevils, so we were going to try to put a visual board across that the dinghies could fit under, but people would have to really make an effort to climb over if they wanted to get onto the rails. So that header board, if we make it appropriately, that could be a fixing point where we could have
Yeah,
something like that.
I'm not saying you need to install it as a condition of what you're doing, but I'm saying you might want to provide for it.
It's a good idea. Thank you.
So it's going to be about 4 feet wide, correct?
Right there?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
2 by 8, okay.
What's that called?
Yep.
Mark?
The only two things that I was glad to hear, Jen, is getting the town engineer involved, because if that's a direct discharge, Edgewater Drive is a paved area, and all the nutrients from stormwater runoff obviously goes right in there.
Yeah,
So
we're
if
going out
there was some
tomorrow.
way to deal with that, it would be wonderful. The second thing was, I really liked your idea of the planting on the top of the 4 logs. What is the purpose of the fence if you have established plantings there?
Fence?
Yeah, it's in a V zone, that's why I'm concerned.
We're right back to that issue I mentioned earlier. The
Everybody
last-
running over.
The last time we did this, people walk over the quarrels because they just see that as the path of least resistance. A lot of them are thinking about the condition of their dinghy. They don't want to drag it down hard wooden steps. Those quarrels are nice and soft. So they'd rather drag it up and down those. So the fencing is both a visual and a physical funnel, if you will, that guides the people to the steps, to only use those to go up and down over the water.
Be like post and rail. It's not going to be a solid,
And they exist now.
yeah, there's a fence
Oh, I know.
there now, yeah.
But whether they exist and permitted, I have no clue. But they are in the V zone, and that, I'm sort of a little stickler on V zones and structures. And, one way I found the salt marshes in West Falmouth, that people love to place their paddle boards and their kayaks on the salt marsh so they don't scratch them. And if I could put boulders all in front of the salt marsh so they'd have to scratch them before they got to the salt marsh, maybe they wouldn't do that. So maybe to stop them from dragging their things over the soft core roll, maybe, some re-rod driven into the ground and they can drag it over, that would help. But anyway, I'm just against
Oh, boy.
structures in a V zone. So that's my only concern was your fence, that was all. And I think your other ideas were all wonderful.
Thank you.
Mike?
An improvement, no comment.
Thank you.
Betsy?
I have a couple of comments. This is, the system you have for the dinghies is the same thing. I mean, it might exist here in the US, but I've seen it a few places in Europe when I've been cycling. And you have a steep stairs, and you have a heavy rental bike, but they have a little rail next to it. Not that it's easy to push it up and down the rail, but it's much easier than trying to lug it up and down the stairs. So I think that's a good idea. Stan, I want to ask you, part of this would be removing all of the stuff from the old core fiber. And the other thing is, I realize you might not want to come see us again, but Stan will tell you that any kind of stabilization like this might require some maintenance, and if some big storms occur, you might need to reinforce it. What you're doing this time around is going to be much more stable than the last time, but it may not last forever. Although it'll last maybe long enough that you won't see any of us and we won't see you.
I'm hoping there's a replacement for you for that.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. But it's a good project. These
Thank
are
you
all,
very much.
all these, I'm really glad Jen and staff has worked with Seacoast. Years ago, I lived there for a year, and it's nice to see the changes in these areas, these access areas.
Thank you very much for your encouragement. It's appreciated.
Mary?
Nothing additional, thanks.
Jamie?
Nothing to add.
So,
All right, so it sounds like we'll be looking for a continuance here.
Just so I can get Scott's take, I'm going out, and I just want to make sure there's not going to be any additional repairs done to that pipe. And I don't want to hold up your project, Mr. Erickson, but I think it's important that they just look at it, just to make sure that they don't have any concerns. So once you guys start construction, all of a sudden they have some concerns, or you weren't going to install these in the next 2 weeks, were you?
No, we were not, and I think the plan, Jennifer, just so you, when you explain it to him, we plan to remove the rocks to get the core rolls over into that area, but then place those rocks back over the end
Yeah.
of the core rolls. So we're not going to, just so they know, we're not going to take them away.
No,
We're just
no, I
gonna
know
tuck
that.
our core rolls
But
on.
I'm wondering what your construction time was. You weren't going to be putting these in the next
This
2.
will be a 2016 project.
Okay, so then the
Financially,
continuance isn't going to really hold you up on a construction
Correct.
sequence or anything. Okay, then I would feel better just having Scott take a look at it, and just, since we're going to be out there tomorrow anyway, just running by there. Okay?
Thank
Fair
you.
enough.
Not a problem. If there's no questions or concerns from engineering, this will be quickly opened and closed on the 16th.
I had one comment. When I looked at that pipe, I thought of our dear colleague and friend who's not with us who's not on the board with us right now. But I thought, even I would have noticed this pipe.
Yes, I know.
We
Yeah.
had a board member who always would say to people, and so what about that 2-inch pipe that I saw such and such? But I went, wow, that's a pipe we'll all notice.
That's a big one.
We all notice it too.
All right, so I guess we're looking for a
At the-
motion here
At the
then.
request of the applicant, we'll continue as to September 16th.
Lori and Courtney. Any other comments from the board? Comments or questions? Any other comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions unanimous, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson.
Thank you.
Oh, Tom.
Oh, okay, right.
Me, to me.
Up, right
I'll
over here.
take those. Thank you, Stan.
All right, next up.
Jen, hand those
Jen,
down.
send them down.
Send those
Send
down.
it down.
Is he even paying attention? Yeah, you. Ski pole.
No,
I
no.
can't read.
Okay,
with
next
this.
up is Stephen Peck, 83 Gunning Point Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise, R-A-Z-E, the existing dwelling, remove a shed,
Unfortunately, yeah,
pump,
but not surprised.
and remove all existing septic components and construct a new, single-family, 4-bedroom house with attached garage, deck with stairs, porch, landing with stairs, install a new Title V sewage disposal system, AC pads, dry wells, native mitigation plantings, and associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Jen?
I'll save any of my comments until after Tom's presentation.
Good evening, Tom.
Is this enough for everybody?
One more here, here's the way
Right on the money.
I'll get to the contents of this in a moment. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker of BSS Design. We did the survey, prepared this plan.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
For Stephen Peck, who is our buyer of the property. It's on Flume Pond in Sipawis and Gunning Point. There's Flume Pond to the south, Gunning Point Avenue here. This is velocity zone, VE, elevation 18, up to this point, 25-foot town velocity zone here. From this point to here is an AE elevation 16 flood zone, and above elevation 16 it's zone X. There's 34,200 square feet of upland on the property. Has a house on it here. There's built according to the town assessors around 1954. It's been there quite a while. Before zoning, before conservation regulations. Shed, driveway, garage. Some wonderful apple trees. And a lot of not so wonderful invasive plants. Down here, the wetland area is fairly flat. In the flood zone, there are some areas that would be considered coastal bank. Basically on this side, the coastal bank runs all the way up the slope. Over on this side, there's a flatter area and a little bit of coastal bank slope up at the top, which actually does not quite make it to the all the way up to the 16-foot contour because the slope flattens out again. As I mentioned, apple orchard, garden, site is highly disturbed, both with agricultural or horticultural pursuits, but also from the invasive plants. This has a lot of the plants that other areas on Gunning Point have. If you walk down this path, walking through what looks like a nice vineyard, there's actually a huge expanse of porcelain berry there. And there's also bittersweet, and then some of the usual ornamental plants like forsythia and some of the others that are growing around there. And Phragmites down by Flint Pond also. The applicant wants to raise, or RAZE, tear down the house and put up a new 4-bedroom house. It's entirely in flood zone X. I note that because part of the existing house down here actually goes down the bank into the foundation of the greenhouse structure that's attached that goes into the flood zone and down onto part of the coastal bank. So we've pulled that part of the house back. We have a 4-bedroom septic system up here, more than 100 feet from the top of the coastal bank, well over 100 feet from the wetland and the pond. There is, in this proposal, 335 square feet of increase in impervious surface in the A zone, 568 square feet of increase in the B zone. That multiplied out requires 2,141 square feet of mitigation planting. Now I'll go to what I passed out this letter, so as not to come in with actually a full revised plan. I'll point out that I just recently took another look, and many of the trees were incorrectly identified on this plan that we submitted. Some not, basically did it just to clarify the record, but there's one in particular in this location, right here next to the limit of work, which is on the plan, it's identified as a 12-inch oak tree. It's actually a 12-inch catalpa tree, which is classified as an invasive species. In that area between the house and the limit of work, there is 175 square feet of vegetation that I show being removed. Right in this, there's a number 175 right here. That's forsythia and bittersweet in that location. So, with this letter, basically I'm introducing or submitting correction to the identification of the trees, but also requesting that although this catalpa tree is outside the limit of work, I'm requesting that we be allowed to remove it and any of the immediately surrounding vines, and hold that limit of work, but take out that invasive tree species that's right there. So I believe in doing this, as part of the mitigation calculations up here, I show that there's 2,141 square feet of planting plus 175. So what I've done on this plan, when we filed it, I showed that 175 square feet of vegetation that's in the A zone, showing it being removed, and that's added in. So that's being added back in to this proposed mitigation planting. So I see this actually as an improvement to the site, even though we're removing vegetation in the A zone, removing invasive vegetation, and replacing it with native vegetation closer to the resource area. So I see that, as I said, a benefit to the site. I'll also point out that with all the invasive species on here, that I believe if this goes through and all, we will be coming back with a management plan for trying to remove the invasive plants here over time, and allowing the native plants to grow. And point out too that in addition to the 2,300 square feet, there are also two native trees included in the mitigation planting in the A zone in this location. So I will take any of your questions now.
Jen?
No questions.
We'll start down here on the right. Jamie?
Just 2 new trees. Saving any apples?
Not intentionally saving any. I don't know if Scott might want to take them out.
Nice project, nice improvement.
Mary?
I'm just wondering if you could talk about this rectangular projection into the coastal bank that's, it appears is going to remain even though...
No,
No,
that's
No,
that.
That's the end of the
Okay.
building.
No, that was sort of a remnant line.
Okay, so that,
There's nothing remaining there. There will be up to that point cutting into some native planting and then the lawn area. There's
okay,
nothing
so that's
remaining
not, okay,
there. No.
all right. I think that's all, thank you.
Betsy?
I have a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
One is actually not to you, it's to Jen. Isn't this part of, I walked down to look at the Phragmites, but isn't this part of the project with the Buzzards Bay?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're still working on the Phragmites there.
Okay.
That's a
That's good.
3-year, I went to see.
They just sent me something on that
Yeah, and I went
the
to
other day.
see, yeah, I mean, they should be checking because there's
Yeah.
more stuff coming up.
No, they're
But
going to
it
be
was
doing an additional
maybe a year or
treatment.
2 ago, I went after I don't know where you were, but you sent me out with them to check what they were doing.
I don't know where I was.
I don't either, but
Could have
I
been out of
remember
the
seeing
country.
that. So that's,
That we don't have to worry about.
that you don't have to worry
Plenty
about.
more to worry about.
Right.
Yeah. You
I have to
think?
say, seeing the apple trees there was the highlight of my day. It was really beautiful. And Mr. Peterson explained some of them to me, and it was great. They're fantastic. Okay, but I have some other questions for you. I didn't want you to think I was going to leave you go.
Can't get off that easy.
No.
So I'm sure you're going to give us another tree by
Of course.
taking the catalpa.
Replace an invasive with a native. I'm sure we'd love to.
I knew
Well, you're
you
doing
would.
it for the shrub material, why not do it for the tree?
Great.
There's one thing that really puzzles me, though. The house that exists there today is, the first floor is about 18 feet. And this first floor elevation is at 24 feet.
Yeah.
So can you give us a kind of visual as to
Why?
It's because the lot slopes down from the road, because the garage is so much closer to the road than the existing house. Well, the existing garage is close to the road too, but as an attached garage, rather than drive down into it, the grading works better with keeping the garage up near the elevation of the road. The deck is going to be about 6 feet up. That's why on the left-hand side, as you're looking at the plan, the left-hand side, there's a area where it steps down. It only takes about 1.5 feet or 2 feet of steps down to get to the lower level.
So what level is the deck going to be?
Well, the deck is on the 20,
it 24
probably
feet?
23 and a half. And so the deck will be up here.
Yeah,
From the backyard.
yeah.
And 5 feet down to the
And then it's
17.5 grade.
And the floor is 24, the bottom of the step 17 and a half, so that's 6.5 feet down to the ground. And then another, other steps going down, just another 1.5 feet down to the lower level.
So do you have any cut and fill calcs?
I don't, but it's all within the footprint of the house. I mean, if you look at the grading, did it this way, there's a very little bit of grading where the existing house and garage is, but the area right adjacent to the coastal bank is staying relatively the same.
And there'll be a basement, like a walkout basement?
Walk up a couple
Walk
of
up it,
steps.
walk up
yes,
it, all right.
yes. So there'll be windows under the deck.
Okay,
It'll be just a little neat foundation wall, not that high.
all right. And my other question was, and I guess I haven't scaled it out, but I guess you're leaving like 10 feet around the house because a chunk of your mitigation is in the B zone, which is what would be required if you can't fit it anymore in the A zone. But is that why?
All of the mitigation required by expansion in the A zone is in the A zone, and then even more of it is in the A zone, but some did spill over into the B zone.
Right, which you would have to do if you can't fit any more in the A zone.
More could be fit in the A zone if we were to squeeze it up within 10 feet of the house, but I
You can't do that. Got to leave 10 feet around
Well,
the
that's what I
house.
said. No. You
No.
have,
But to leave only 10 feet, more of that mitigation perhaps all of the mitigation could have gone in the A zone.
Yeah, it looks like it might be able to.
which
On
is
the
what's
west side?
required. You would have been better off if you didn't keep talking.
Well, I'm not sure it's required. You say that,
It is required.
well, you say that all the mitigation due to expansion within the A zone must go within the A zone. But
The
beyond
goal is
that,
to get the A zone revegetated.
That's the goal, but
And if you
it's not a
can't fit it, if you
requirement.
can't expand within the A zone, then
Well, but I can't expand within the A zone. As I said, all of
if
the
you can't
mitigation,
fit the mitigation
it is fit in. All the mitigation required.
for the A zone is fit in the A zone.
Yes.
But all the mitigation is supposed to go in the A zone unless there's no room for it. Unless,
I'm
if
not-
there's an,
I'm not positive it's written that way.
I am positive since I was the one who wrote it. And I looked at it again before I did this. I don't have a problem with this,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
just in the future,
Well, I can definitely all the mitigation.
reread that section.
I will.
And you'll give us some trees.
Another tree for the catalpa? Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you like me to read it?
pardon me?
Would you like me to read it?
For Tom's edification?
You have to read 2 and 3, Tom. 2 says that all mitigation from Zone A is required in Zone A. 3 says any increase in impervious surface in buffer Zone B will require 2-to-1 mitigation. These plantings must be placed in Zone A. But if prior to the redevelopment, the existing area and available in mitigation Zone A is not sufficient to accommodate the plantings for redevelopment in Zone B, then the area of mitigation that cannot be accommodated shall be placed in B.
Fine point I missed.
No, you just didn't read far enough down.
I
Or
just
chose
make
to
it
say,
very
oh,
simple.
3.
The goal is to
Yes.
revegetate A. And so
That's
everything
correct.
goes into A,
Yep.
but then if there's a reason why you can have an expansion in B and it can't fit in A, then it goes in B. That's, I try to make it as simple as possible. I'm done.
Mike?
I'm done.
Lori?
Tom, you had one tree that was mislabeled, which was a catalpa, but I think the hickory is also one.
Yeah, that's in the letter.
Yeah,
On that plan I put on there, the hickory, that's a hickory, not an oak, and there were others downhill from there.
okay. So are you gonna keep the hickory?
That I'm not, that's in the B zone, and that's, I wasn't planning to because, no,
All right. It's just a nice tree,
it is.
so.
We can give you a hickory where the catalpa is.
Well, personally, I'd like the 12-inch hickory where it is. So, and it is a native, so I would like to
Yes.
see the hickory stay, but that's just my opinion. And I don't think you're gonna get a 12-inch hickory down where the catalpa is. No. Other than that, I thought it was a good plan. It was nice to see the septic moving further away from the resource. The only last thing I saw was in the lawn areas should be established for the Falmouth-friendly lawn. Just make sure the applicant understands that there is a no fertilization within 100 feet of any resource. So
Bylaw?
it's a bylaw for the town of Falmouth. And anything outside of that jurisdiction, yes, but I don't think much of this lot is. So there is no nitrogen. Okay. Other than that, I thought it looked like a good plan. And the apple trees are beautiful. Do you get deer there? Do they swim across at all? I'm just curious if deer,
Very rarely do you see deer.
okay.
They yard up across the pond in the conservation area, but for some reason they don't come up. They never bother.
Assuming that's Mr. Peterson.
Look like
And by
that.
the way, that tree is a Colonia tomentosa, or it's also known as a Chinese empress tree. I grew it from seed.
So I got that
There you go.
wrong too. It's still not native.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Sir,
Yes.
can you identify yourself for the record, please?
Scott and Peterson.
Thank you.
Woody?
Other than echoing Lori's comments, I have nothing else.
Hey, you said evasive,
Betsy, you want those plants moved in the A?
plan, you're gonna submit that plan, management plan, invasive management plan?
It's pretty
Not
tight
as
Is that what I
as it
heard?
Should be.
Not as part of this
We
file.
can discuss
Okay,
it, we
but
can discuss it, Jen.
if we get to move forward, then we'll be doing it because we want to clean up the area, yes.
Okay.
It says almost 400. Tom, just so you know that during deliberation, they may ask you to put all your plants in Zone A. That could, just so you don't think that the door is closed on that could be a point of discussion during their deliberations. And I just kind of checked it off and made a nice little U, and visually it looks like it can fit and still be even more than 10 feet away from the house, so you may want to kind of play with AutoCAD and look at that, okay? In anticipation to their discussion.
Betsy?
I don't mean to be critical of you tonight, but it sounds like I am. I just want you to know I was disappointed not to see a stake for where the D zone was. I walked down the path looking for a stake. I mean, I was just curious.
It's near the wetland line.
Okay.
Doesn't help you now, I know.
No.
Any other comments or questions?
Beautiful, beautiful site.
Questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none.
I make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, Tom.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
Oh, actually, I do have something else, before Tom leaves.
Oh, hang
Tom,
on,
don't leave.
You run fast enough.
Almost out of here.
You probably weren't responsible for this. Jeff was probably responsible, or someone else who did the writing for the previous hearing that we had out on Seacoast. But he said something about coastal bank and no other wetland resources. But just a reminder that buffers are wetland resources, according to the Falmouth wetlands regulation.
You definitely
for us
didn't run
to-
fast enough.
Just to remind ourselves of that every once in a while.
Buffers are resource areas.
Yes?
Buffers are resource
Yes,
areas too.
My question.
Oh. Buffers are resource areas too.
Yes. Just remember it like
Buffers
that.
matter.
Yes,
Okay.
Tell Jeff.
yes, I'm sure he'll love that message.
Run, Tom, run.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, next up, continued request for hearings under notice of intent. These two are continued, right?
Yes.
11 Snug Harbor and...
Correct.
Okay.
So what was the date on the Snug Harbor one again? I didn't
The
write it down.
23rd.
Yep.
23rd.
The one where I had no clue. That would be the 23rd.
23rd. And the other one was
The 14th of October.
14th. I have that one, okay.
I managed to pull it together at the end.
So we have a meeting on the 23rd. I think I crossed off that we didn't have a meeting. I know it was wishful thinking, but
No, according to my schedule, we have a meeting on the 23rd. We do not have one on the 30th, so it was wishful thinking.
1, 2, 1, 2.
oh, that's how we're going to do it.
Until we run into, Thanksgiving, and then it gets all kind of messed up.
Okay, next up is enforcement issues. Charles Hap-J, is it Hap-J?
Hap-a-G.
Hap-a-G. 4 Tupelo Road, West Falmouth, Mass. For clearing, altering wetland resource area in a buffer zone, in a buffer 2 resource area as defined in FWR 10.00 and 310 CMR 10.00. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Staff is requesting that you remove this from the agenda. We did advertise it. Since then, the house was undergoing a sale. We were working with Holmes & McGrath, Maria Hickey Landscaping, the current the buyer, the seller. We managed to address all of the enforcement issues under the compliance and wrote very strict conditions ongoing with the deed to ensure the survival of those plants, and including some cutting of some fairly large trees on the coastal bank. So there were a number of trees that were cut on the bank to obtain a view of the marsh. The bank is incredibly steep. There is no possible way you could put new trees into that bank. So what we're going to do is manage the trees so that obviously all the energy goes into the strongest leader. There's a 3-year moratorium of cutting on, of pruning those trees, and in 3 years, staff is going to reevaluate that view shed and make a determination. It has been made very clear to all the parties that I am not saying pruning will be allowed in 3 years, and I am not saying pruning will not be allowed in 3 years. It's very unfair of anybody to ask the staff to make a determination where we don't know what's going to happen. So that's where it stands. There were some other shrub materials that needed to be placed in there, and there were replacement trees that were placed in for the trees that were cut, and again, all of that was addressed and is secured with monitoring in the compliance. So I'm requesting it be removed.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mary, Betsy, any other questions or comments from the board? From the public? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. All right, continued enforcement issues. Thomas DeMello and Cynthia Feldman, 46 Jetty Lane, Falmouth, Mass. Probably should be West Falmouth, right?
Yes.
You guys having issues with West, East, Falmouth lately?
Somebody mentioned that that, I don't know if it was DEP, but they don't like, they want just Falmouth on these things.
Oh, you know, I heard that too.
Barbara said
We
that.
heard it,
Barbara, that's right.
Okay.
Courtney.
but we'd like to know. where
Okay,
they are.
Yes.
coming down is a series of aerial photographs.
All right, let me just
and-
finish reading
Oh,
this.
sorry.
For clearing, altering wetland resource area and in buffer to resource area as defined in FWR 10.00 and 310 CMR 10.00.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it came to our attention that there had been altering in the buffer to coastal dunes and coastal banks and resource areas. Coming down is a series of photographs dated from 2005. I have the original file there, 2005. It looks like the buffer is maintained from when an addition went on. The pool's been there for a while. You'll see it, the photos when they come down. 2009 appears to be stable. Between 2009 and 2011, there seemed to be some alteration to that buffer beyond the limit of work that was allowed and into potentially at least a buffer to a coastal dune, but possibly a coastal dune itself. And it's clearly shown in 2014's aerials and an advertisement for the property, which is currently being marketed by Sotheby's. The DeMellas have come in, they have talked to us, they have since retained Mike Borselli. I have an email from him. I know the board had requested permission to try to view the property prior to tonight's hearing. We were working with the DeMellas. They did send an email saying that the board is allowed access between 8 and 6 as long as you know, be respectful and identify yourselves so you can view the property. Mr. Borselli asked if it was, necessary to come tonight. I said that pictures don't lie. Mr. Borselli's presence here wasn't going to change the facts in the case, so we can do one of two things. I said that if an enforcement order, might be voted tonight, he is preparing his as-built plan, or if you all want to have time to go out and view the property, we can continue it to the 16th, and then that way, if you wanted to have a discussion with Mr. Borselli and possibly the DeMellas, which I'm not quite sure if they're in the audience or not, that's possible too. I mean, it's a very simple, if the pictures don't lie, the buffer needs to be reestablished. It seems to be a very large cedar that was removed down at the, where the coastal beach meets coastal dune. That will need to be replaced. It's, in our eyes, a fairly simple buffer reestablishment restoration project.
And with a house for sale, I'm sure they'd like to expedite
Yeah,
this.
expedite this as soon as possible, so. But they've already retained Mr. Borselli. They're preparing an existing conditions plan and advising him how to mitigate for the unpermitted work on his property. We have initiated our work and plan to meet with you in the near future to review the results of the survey and discuss how to best remedy things. So, I mean, if, in all fairness to the applicant and Mr. Borselli, if you wanted to continue it to the 16th so I can have a discussion with him after he does his survey, that's fine too.
I haven't seen the pictures yet.
They're on their way.
They're on
I
their
guess the idea is whether we're gonna, if the members wanna
Can you, Mike, can you send
visit
that
the
one
site,
down? I know, Betsy, that you had specifically asked, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, if we could visit the site, and we immediately started a dialogue with the DeMellas, but I think they were a little confused. They thought we were going to have an organized site visit, and so it took a little bit of back and forth to clarify that it wasn't going to be an organized site visit, that you would just go when you all had the opportunity to visit the site.
That's that stretch. That stretch.
2009, 2011, and Sotheby's clearly are the ones you should look at.
Well, I mean, pretty clear.
Yeah, like I said, it's a pretty cut and dry. We know exactly where the old limit of work was. There's no real,
Well, it's
I
nice
don't-
that it had an old order of conditions, so.
yeah, and we have the
Yeah.
site plan. It's not going to be a tricky restoration plan at all. Some of them can get a little tricky, like the one we had to deal with the compliance, but this one is, I think is just fairly straightforward.
So you're asking that we give them till the 26th to,
I
or
mean,
whatever, the
you can
16th?
vote the order, you can vote the enforcement order and just be like mitigated, but if you want me to have a discussion with Mr. Borselli just to make sure everybody's clear, I'd be happy to do so, and we can
That's fine.
revisit it on the 16th.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
I make a motion that we continue it to the 16th.
Okay.
Second.
Now, before we go any further here, site visits, you guys want to visit the
8
site?
to
or-
6, please identify
So you just
yourselves,
have to
and they
do
were
that.
fine with that. We do have an email.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think I printed the email for that, but we did get an email. I can forward it to all of you, that you have permission to enter the property. Okay?
Okay, so we have a motion
Okay.
to continue by Maury and second by Courtney. Any other questions for the board?
That way it'll give me time
Comments?
to meet with Mr. Borselli.
Okay.
Okay.
From the public, questions or comments? Or continuing to the 16th, all right. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is Priscilla Mayer, Priscilla Mayer, Edgewater Drive East, map number 32-13-001-000, East Falmouth, Mass, for clearing, digging, altering, filling, and building upon a wetland resource area and a buffer to a resource area as defined in FWR 10.00 and 310 CMR 10.00. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we reviewed this on August 12th. At that time, you all saw the photos. If you need a refresher, I can send them down. It was the staircase that was built on the right-of-way and the railroad ties with the stone. And the little, here we go, little landscaping dinghy racks. Can't even believe I can't come up with that word right now. We left it with this. We needed a determination from the building department to know whether or not those stairs were considered a landscape feature, or if they were, there would be some sort of code violation associated with them. That was going to determine what we were going to do. If they were going to be landscaping stairs, I believe the board said they could remain, but there's that other path and gully that's going to need to be filled with soil and replanted. And unfortunately, the dinghy racks, the only part of all that unpermitted work that I kind of liked, were removed, and we would suggest that they reinstall them. All of this is going to be done under an after-the-fact notice of intent. Eladio Gore went out today, and it was his determination that those were landscaping features. So, my notes were, if okay, file after the fact, notice with the commissioners with mitigation. If not okay, meaning not up to code, file an after the fact with removal and then mitigation. So that was our discussion the last time. I'm not quite sure if the board has had time to rethink that, but there is an area, another path down that right-of-way that does need to be restored and replanted because there is a lot of erosion going there. And also it does need to be mentioned that there were a number of boats that are resting on the base of that right-of-way, and that we are all trying really hard down in the Seacoast Shore area to stop that activity from happening.
Courtney, something?
I recall that in that discussion about those stairs, that I wanted to see that those timbers are rated for 40 years of ground contact, so we don't have to dig them up.
Mr. Byrd, we did get information on those timbers. The mayors are in the audience, and he has that information in your folder. If you would like to place in the record, we did get an email with that information. I'll take that. And that was provided to us. Thank you.
All right, did you have anything else, Mr. Mayor? That you wanted to-
The letters showing that there was, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, for the record, Phil Marr.
Marr.
And we have the house at 50 Columbus in Falmouth. So, yeah, and we forgot to bring the letters saying that there was a stair there, and I said I'd bring them, so I have those, if you want them.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, we can give them to Jen.
Have it.
Oh, what?
Letters that I said I'd bring.
Oh,
Forgot
thank
last
you.
time, Yeah.
Yep, not a problem.
So the idea is that,
And after the fact, notice of intent be filed to allow the stairs to remain, to restore the other area that is causing erosion, and to really encourage, I know there's some property rights issues going on, to encourage the reestablishment or reinstallation of those dinghy racks so that they're not sitting at the base of the right-of-way. All of this should be done within a 60 to 90-day time period under, as I said, an after-the-fact notice of intent.
will we have a notice of intent? Can't we put that as the condition, that dinghy racks could be placed there?
Yes.
I mean, we can't force people to do something like that, but.
Install? No, that's why I said we
We can
highly
encourage.
encourage them to
Yeah,
reinstall
That's what
them.
I'm saying, but we could,
But I
that's
think
how we
there's
can
also
encourage.
there's the property rights issue that we don't get involved with, so they
Right.
need to figure that out.
so are you asking, so that's what you're suggesting, and we could make a motion, and
Well,
but we need to give you a time?
You need to permit the stairs, so you're gonna permit that under a notice of intent. We also need to deal with the erosion that's happening on that right-of-way.
Right, which
is-
could be taken care of with a notice of intent.
Yes, yep, so that, the survey, notice, this is how we're gonna restore this area, these are the stairs, this is the location of the stairs, all of that.
So I'm making a motion, we do it and have a notice of intent within 45 days?
Let me get a calendar.
I was just splitting the difference between 30 and 60.
What are we on the 2nd? He usually gives like 45 to 60 days. I've got 60 days.
All right, 60 days.
They have a legal issue here somewhere.
And maybe they can get the right-of-way easement ownership straightened
That's
by
why
then.
I want to give it. It'll be 60 days since when we issue
Yeah.
that enforcement. So we'll write it up, have it ready for you guys to sign on the 16th.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
so it'll be like 60 days from the 16th. Okay?
So September, October, November.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can
so
you
that's my motion.
go over that one more time?
So my motion is to do what Jen suggested, which is after-the-fact stairs, fill in the gully, put plants
Restoration.
there, restore that area, and give strong encouragement to include a dinghy rack in the proposal,
And the notice
in the
was,
notice of intent, and the notice of intent has to be in 2 months.
do I hear a second?
Second.
Betsy and Molly. Questions or comments? Courtney?
You need to address the conditions of this warranty. This is a right-of-way, is that correct?
Correct.
far as I
So
know, yes.
who owns the right-of-way?
The deed is in our name.
I'm sorry?
The deed is in our name, Priscilla and Phil.
Courtney, there's a
We're not
property,
getting into that,
there's a
Courtney.
property rights issue going on right now.
Well, what you should be aware of is that this warranty says it's not valid for commonly held land. So when it comes time for your notice of intent, I want you to address the specific conditions that are under this warranty that include documentation on how you plan to treat cut ends, bolt holes, etc., and specifically how you address this warranty. If it's dealing with commonly held land, you're going to have to get a letter from the supplier that they will warranty this. What we don't want, frankly, the reason for this is I don't want to be obsessive about it. But I don't want to revisit this thing in 5 years because it just rots away. And I don't
Okay.
think this board
We can
does
put
either.
that in the order of conditions that the notice of intent shall address
Yeah,
the,
well, I think by the time you come to make your presentation, you should have addressed this.
Well, property rights issues are never that easy, but I'll take that for the file, so we have the language so we can write it in. Thank you.
Maureen?
No question.
Mike?
No question.
Mary?
Okay.
Jamie?
I'm good.
Any comments or questions from the public? Okay, we're going to keep it to the,
Just briefly, my name is Chris Gallagher. I live to the south of this, what people are referring to as a right-of-way. It's actually an unconstructed portion of Columbus that was fraudulently deeded to the mayors. I mean, I've hired a surveyor, I've hired attorneys, so there is no property rights question. It's very clear who owns it, and it's not Mr. Mayor. So what happens here, through a notice of intent process, it's going to create a lien on my property. So there was another gentleman that was here at the last meeting that stood up and said, I guess he was a commissioner for quite some time. I don't know if it was at Falmouth. We stood up at the end, Mashpee. And he had stood up and said that a lot of times they require proof of ownership. A quitclaim deed isn't proof of ownership. It's no proof of title because it's something that's sold with no prior title. So someone sold something that they, like it's like selling a car that you didn't own. You didn't have the title to it, and that's what happened here. So through the NOI process, you're going to create an order of conditions that's going to get recorded at the registry of deeds. It's going to run with the land, not with his deed. You know, his deed's a fraudulent deed, so it's going to run with the land. So you're going to create a lien on my property and on the Liddell's property, which are to the north of the unconstructed portion of Columbus Drive. It's not an actual right-of-way. Myself and Dave, people go down there, they're enjoying themselves. We don't stop anyone, we don't fence it off. But it's a road that would access my house and access his. And there's a thing called the right of necessity. And so it's necessary, we have the necessity to go access our property. Other people don't actually have the rights to go down because they don't own the water. So they don't have the right to access their property. But I'll stop on that issue if that's what you
we're kind of getting off.
But so,
here.
that being said,
Impact on the
with the-
resource areas with us, so.
with the NOI, I just wanted to try to make it clear to the mayors what's expected of them, because I'm not sure if they're aware. And I'm hoping through this process, they're going to have to hire an engineer, do a plan, so you're going to have a stamp on it. So whoever stamps that plan is going to have to stamp their ownership, so if they're going to get out there and survey it, then they're going to have to follow the title chain. And I think they're going to be hard-pressed to find somebody that's going to go back one deed and find that it's not the case. That being said, it turns out that happens, which I'm confident it will. Whatever's happened to the land, unfortunately, myself and Dave Liddell have inherited, and I'm not going to speak for Dave, but I'm pretty sure that he'd go along with me to say whatever restoration, whatever needs to be done, we'll end up having to do it, and I understand that. So if it comes down to that, and we'll work with the commission and with Jennifer and see what has to be done to rectify this.
Whether the board does this under a notice of intent or a straight-up restoration plan, survey's still going to have to be done.
Okay, that's
So then
pretty...
that was fine. Hey,
Okay.
Mr. Gallagher, I have a question for you. Let's say what you say turns out to be true, the survey, and I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, do you want the stairs to remain?
I think
I have to actually talk to Dave on that,
I think
because
that's his problem,
what happens is
Yeah.
we own,
To the
the
center
way it
line?
works in an unconstructed
Okay.
roadway, you own the feet of the middle. So I physically have the ownership to the middle. Dave has the ownership to the
So, yeah,
middle.
yeah,
I have
no,
rights
no.
over his half, he has rights
No,
over
we
my
get- we
half
get that.
unless we extinguish rights. So, but it's, we're neighbors, we do it together. I wouldn't let it just be on Dave because it's on his.
Either way it needs to be, this issue has to be addressed, so I think we need to start the process to find out if a surveyor goes back, and I know you provided this.
I mean, I'd
Someone
rather...
provided this, I think it was you, Mr. Gallagher,
Yeah, it
correct?
was me, yeah,
From Reed Land Surveying?
right.
Yep.
And he's a very Glenn's a very,
Yeah, we
very
have,
competent. I've worked with him a lot over the years.
I mean, we're just gonna have to see what happens. I mean, this board can't make that determination right here. We just have to address the issue. We go by what's on our assessor's records. I understand you've placed this in the record. We're well aware of it. We just need to follow our process and see where we end up.
I understand. I mean,
Okay.
personally, I'd rather see the stairs go back to the eroded area. That's where the stairs, that's where they were. There was concrete stairs there.
Okay?
And I'd rather see them put back there and restore, and again, I'd have to consult with David, but
Yep.
I'd rather see them back in the center.
Well,
and
we'll have to cross
restore
that
the other,
bridge
but
We
that's
we
down
may,
the
we
line.
may be crossing that bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Ongoing saga. I
Yeah,
get
no,
tired.
yeah. There's nothing like we can do. I'm not a surveyor, sir, so.
No, I understand.
We'll have to let the
completely.
process play out and see where it leads us.
I was a commissioner before, so I had to put up with all this too. In fact, Mario used to do a lot of work for the commission up in Rainham.
Yep,
So-
okay. Thank you.
Hi, David Liddell, 126 Edgewater Drive East. So a comment, I guess I'll address your question. I'm not thrilled where the stairs are, the new stairs
Okay.
are. I would have preferred them to be where the eroding area is, because
Okay.
that area is problematic. The water runs down the road and it runs across the bank because it's been cleared over the years, and it runs right down and washes that out. You can see there's erosion at the base, so I would have preferred to have that there. Question I have, just to make sure I'm clear and understand how this works with the notice of intent. So an engineer must be hired, is that correct?
Correct.
And they will have to put their stamp on it, is that correct?
They will have to have an engineering stamp and a land
Land
surveying stamp on it.
Okay. And as far as you understand with that, there's got to be research in terms of the property.
The professional land surveyors have to follow their own code of conduct. I don't have that regulation in front of me. Our
Yep.
town engineer, actually, he is now the assistant director to the DPW, is both a land surveyor and a PE.
Yep.
So, trust me, when these come in, I will be consulting him.
Okay, very good, thank you. A last question I have relates to the dinghies that are already on the property. These are people that have been living here for a long time. And I guess my question comes down to, how do we enforce it? The racks were put on the property, bit of an eyesore. During this process, I asked the Myers to move them. They did, out of courtesy. I've got to meet them. They're very nice people. People weren't using the boat racks. They keep their boats down by the water. It's a steep bank, and so one of the previous situations where people were hauling the boats up and down the bank, that's going to occur again. Whether the boat racks are there or not, that same issue is going to be there. So my concern is with the boats at the bottom. How do you recommend, or do you have any recommendations on how we enforce
There's
this
salt
issue?
marsh at the end of that right of way, sir. We can go and ticket them. I suggest you put up some signs that say, do not store dinghies on the salt marsh. We can ticket them, you can ask the harbor master to have them removed.
Okay. And we don't want to, we want to be careful with that, obviously, because this is a second home for us. We're out there all the time, and we upset locals.
I understand that. So the Seacoast Shores Association has been grappling with this for 2 years. We've been working with them. We are well aware of the situations out there. We are
Okay.
well aware of all the boats.
Yeah.
Well, I'm moving down soon, so I'll let you know.
All right, well, I'm looking for recommendations on that, because that's been on my mind.
I would
How do
say
we enforce it?
signage, and we dealt with this delicate issue a few years ago with a fence issue.
Yeah.
I suggested signage eventually, once the signs were there, the issue went away. If we can go down with everyone's permission, if those boats are on the marsh, I'll be out there tomorrow, I'll grab some stickers.
Right.
We'll put them on the boats, and
We
go
want to keep
from there.
everybody happy. That's really our goal in all of this.
I would like to keep the salt marsh and the coastal bank happy, because, as you
Well,
heard,
you
us
wanna keep
resource
us happy,
areas are
too.
buffers are resource areas
I'm starting with this
too.
group as keeping you happy
Yes,
first.
Yeah.
right.
And that's why I say everybody.
Yeah.
Keep everybody happy, so that's great. Okay.
So, I
thank you.
mean, I guess with the property, ownership question, we'll have to see how this
We
plays
understand
out.
that. And I can make a statement that all of us, regardless, we're going to make sure that we work on this property to bring it back to where it needs to be, and ensure the salt marsh is brought back to where it needs to be. We'll do everything we need to.
And Mr. Chairman, I mean, the board hasn't voted if you want to reevaluate whether we're allowing the stairs to remain or looking for an alternate place for them, possibly where the erosion is occurring. That is, you can make that recommendation
Well, there should
before
be a
you take
notice
the
of
vote.
intent. We're not saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the-
We're not saying the.
Stairs can remain.
The stairs should remain or not remain.
Okay,
There has to
I
be
get
a
it.
notice of intent.
Yep,
Saying
to
how that
evaluate the
area is going to
project.
be,
Okay,
the damage to that area will be mitigated.
yeah.
Yeah, clearly this is one of the reasons why you hire an engineer to,
Survey.
look at this kind of
Surveyor
thing.
before you do it.
You should work with that engineer to design a grading
Yeah,
plan,
no, you can't. Right.
retaining wall plan, whatever,
That in general.
as part of this order of conditions, that include stairs and everything else, but you develop a complete picture so that you can address the erosion issue, which you guys feel is important, is a critical matter.
Yes.
And if that means moving stairs,
Possibly.
whatever you have to do, but this is where an engineer comes in.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Kristen.
I just wanted to answer.
Thank you.
Just wanted to answer Dave's question quick on the way to enforce the dinghies. There's only 4 dinghies there. 3 of them, there's a father, a son, and a cousin. There's 3 of them. Then there's another guy, Dan, that lives down the street. None of them actually have the right to go down there and put their dinghies, I don't believe, as it is, so they kind of have to go through us. And they all understand it, and they all understand I'm fine with them going down. It's a set of eyes looking at the house. So to enforce it, we simply say, either put them up here or take your dinghy elsewhere. And they're all aware of it, and they're aware of the privilege. And, so they're good people, so they'd be okay with it, I believe. If the stairs was it would make it easy to walk down.
Okay. Any other questions from the board here?
Second on the table.
We have a motion and a second on the table. Any other questions from the audience? You're all set, Mr. Mayor? You'd like-
Just to clarify what the motion was, if you could say it again.
Within 60 days, you need to submit a notice of intent to
Okay.
address any impacts to the resource on that area. It could include stairs that are there, it could include stairs moved to a different place. It has to deal with what you said is the gully, where the stairs used to be, where the road runoff.
And it's only happened the past few years, that's really.
But, so a notice of intent, and an engineer will,
And Jennifer's going to outline that for us, okay.
yep, yeah, Jen will outline everything in a letter.
You will get a big, scary document that will
We've never
outline
seen this
everything
letter,
that
but
you
we've heard
need
it's
to
very
do.
scary, but
Forewarned.
Did they redo the catch basins down there?
Yeah, what happened is they redid the road. We did all the engineering on the road and survey work, the whole Edgewater Drive east for free for the neighbors. There was a contract that was supposed to put all drainage in. It was right when John Lyons took over, the outgoing superintendent. And so there was a little mix-up, and it was all staked out, went over the whole job, came down, the road was paved. And it didn't put any drainage in. There was a little 6-inch pipe in my front yard, under my stairs, and out through the wall into the water. They dumped about 2,000 feet of road, half Edgewater Drive came and turned down Columbus, all that dirt. 4 years, I mucked out my basement. It was horrible. Had a finished basement, but I had mushrooms removed in it. Couldn't even have people over. 4 years, I asked to be put in a catch basin, and I said, did you analyze the watershed and see how much you need to support a bleaching basis? I'm going to take all this. Well, finally, we got Columbus paved. And they ended up putting in catch basins in Columbus. Unfortunately, they didn't crown the roads. The water runs down about 50 feet before it gets to the pretty new catch basins, goes out into the center line, and comes into my front yard. It filled the whole road and flooded and filled my basement with water, ran down the stairs and behind. And they finally, and I said, use the right of way if you want it. Put some infiltration, put some anything to get it out. But you know, in the low point, so I took a real beating on that one. Insurance gave me $15,000 for about $60,000 worth of damage. It was a nightmare. Now, it seems to be holding the storms, and when they redid Columbus, they put a slight crown, so now it puddles at the end of Columbus and Seacoast, so it doesn't turn down.
Run down that hill.
Or the catch basin, but it was a phenomenal, a huge watershed going through my house. It was right over my foundation wall.
Thank you for that. I was just curious because you could tell it.
Yeah.
It went right down that.
He ended up helping me out, and, you know, he's limited with his chapter 90 stuff and the timing, so it took a few years, but he ended up,
Okay.
you know.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the table. No other comments from the public? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. All right, next up is vote orders of conditions.
I don't know what I did with it. I think- Is everybody here the last time?
Yeah, we've
Yes.
all been here.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Then it's everybody.
for 103 Charles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's T-Tick.
Yep, that's the mall.
Travis River is,
This was that reason.
No, this was the proposed garage, Charles River,
Yep.
103.
Yep.
Vote
Oh,
orders,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
conditions,
Mr.
Charles
Doyle.
River Road,
Yeah.
John Doyle's project.
yep.
We asked for construction fencing around the 10-inch oak. Special
Detail.
condition, drywall detail, 1 tree added.
And datum.
And there was a deck.
Between 2 and 3 areas of mitigation, we wanted a wildflower mix to stabilize the area. That's where they wanted to put their
Birdhouse.
birdhouses. And you wanted make sure the datum was in NAV 88.
And did you say also add the deck that is existing
No, I didn't.
on the northeast side of the...
Okay. Add deck, got it.
I move that we-
Northeast side.
Are we,
Anybody
comments?
else?
Any comments?
Thank you.
So what's the status? Were those things done or?
No,
Oh, wait, I'm
they'll-
sorry.
Voting in order of
They're in
conditions.
his order of conditions.
I move that we.
No, and John hasn't, sometimes they'll give me a revised plan before we actually vote the order. I did not see one come in yet. I will call John.
Are you comfortable with that, Jen?
Yeah, I'm fine with
Okay.
that.
I move that we accept it as discussed.
Second.
No other questions or comments? All right, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. 101 Waterside Drive.
This was Barbara's order, Barbara's notice that
Raise and rebuild.
this was the raise and rebuild in the flood zone.
This is pretty straight.
This was very straightforward. I don't
straightforward.
have any notes.
No.
I move that we accept.
Second.
Thank you, Maury. Any other comments
With
or
all
questions?
your standard conditions
Yeah.
and special conditions and.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved. 137 T-Ticket Highway, OCW Retail, Falmouth LLC, 9915.
This is the mall, they did submit a revised operation and maintenance plan.
And narrative that says we shall do, not like we'll think about it, maybe,
We should.
after
We shall.
No.
a flood.
They did.
Do you know, I was wondering, would it help if we asked for signage? Because obviously when it's snowing, if there was something up, it's sort of like the gas vent, that you can see it.
Yeah.
That when there's snow, they're at a handicap. I mean, you get subcontractors from everywhere. They don't know there's a wetland there. That maybe there just could be a sign that says, wetland, do not plow, I don't know, something that would help them. Do not
Where the
enter, do
drainage,
not.
where the little drain goes
Because
down.
I'm going to tell you, they're going to want to push it there, because
Well, yeah, it's
it's
kinda
the
downhill.
path of least resistance.
Yeah,
Sign alerting to sensitive resource area, no depositing of snow.
Snow.
Got it.
something. They'll figure out, you guys will figure something out.
No snow, got it.
Can't you put fences and snow fence or something up in the wintertime, require that? So
You
that,
want a
Well, they could
removable?
put posts. They
Yeah, I was
could
gonna
put,
say, you want a removable
the-
post and rail?
Well, even they could just put concrete posts that a plow couldn't,
Or a post and rail fence, right?
yeah,
Right
Of
they
course,
right
if we
there.
have 5, 6 feet of
It'll
snow,
be
you're
covered.
not even gonna see
They'll
it.
how high
push it
does
right
the
over.
snow,
Right.
how high do they pile the snow?
Oh, it was
Oh,
12 feet tall.
It was way.
Courtney, this past
So-
thing,
So.
The snow
so
finally
a
melted in
concrete
Boston in
post this
July.
tall
It's buried.
Isn't gonna matter.
no.
It's just gonna really aggravate the snowplow
That's
guy.
why I say, I think you need something that's right along the edge of the curve. Makes it clear you can't pile snow there.
Well, no, that's what we're saying, but if
There's snow, you can't-
even if you have a post and rail fence that's 4 feet high, this year we had 5 or
12 feet of
6
snow.
feet of snow piled up. And
We're running out of
Well, maybe
places
they'll
to
just have to
push.
restore it every time they wreck it, because it's just a really hard thing to do when you're plowing.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
put the sign there, but
It's gonna be
the owner,
plowed over.
the people who let the contract to these snow removal people need to put the fear of God in them.
Well, it wasn't,
And if they don't, then
I can honestly say that that happened because Officer Martinson was the one that responded to this call.
and it was to get rid of the water, wasn't it? Melt water?
Yeah,
there's a
and
big
I think he
It
frightened
wasn't
the snowplow guy.
snow.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen again. But we could put concrete posts, we could put a post and rail fence,
Put a post and rail fence.
we could
It would
put
look nice in
a
the corner there.
12-foot high stockade fence, whatever you guys would like to do.
No,
But I
I-
cannot
No, I
predict
don't
how
want-
high they're gonna pile the snow
Mike.
next winter.
Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Whatever we do will work well in July.
Yes,
It will
when-
do
when-
nothing.
it may not
In
work
December.
well
In January.
when we have
You know,
11
let's-
feet of
let's just
snow.
live that we get a notice
And
to
they
them
pay-
all and remind them that
Thank
this is a wetland. and
Yeah.
Because we're just, it's a fool's errand.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It's just different-
absolutely. You
it's
cannot
very
predict what the
difficult.
weather is gonna be. You
I make a
can't.
motion that we accept as discussed.
Second.
I'll make something up.
I think you
It'll be
got
a
the-
blend of fences and concrete posts and notice to the mall and everything else.
I think Mike's right. I think that maybe this is a fool's mission to
Yeah.
even doing, just say that the onus is on the people at the mall, and if it's wrecked in the spring,
rather
they just
not-
have to fix
we'd
it.
rather
Requires
not-
some kind of notification.
Would rather not see you again to address
Yes.
this.
Yeah, we'd rather not. Balloons. Helium balloons.
The helium
maybe
balloons.
we
Only
make them post a
inflated during
big fat
snowstorms.
bond.
I think there's a motion, a second. on the
There's a
table.
motion, and a second on the table. And no other comments from the board members?
Oh, this was continued.
Huh?
Huh, nothing? I'm like all
No
over
other
the place
comments, I'll
tonight.
call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. 5 Ottawa Lane, Shannon and Jeff Conway, 9915.
Sure, lots of comments.
This is the landscape improvements along Ottawa Lane. Proposed revisions noted on landscape plan, hang on.
Did they get out to the site?
Russell did.
I do, I have a problem with.
I'm
over the-
calling
over the
Teresa.
stone wall, they cleaned that right up.
I'm gonna be giving Teresa a call on my way to work tomorrow.
And that 6-inch pipe, right here in the corner by where they want to put the new deck?
That looks like a conduit at
Yeah.
one time. There used to be, I remember this, when this first came up,
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
yeah, there was an AC unit that was hidden up there. And I think that might have been what was left
Well,
over.
when we do condition this, they have to remove that pipe, because once they pull it out, if it's attached to something, then they'll have to address it. Because they're really strange, the way those downspouts are, they put like expandable foam in them.
In the downspout?
In the downspouts, the gutter, the downspout, and then the dry well connection, and there's that orange, the orange like window foam around them, which, I mean, it's actually a pretty good idea, because then they don't move, and leaves don't get in there, but I just don't know if that pipe is somehow underground
All right, so
connected.
remove, where's the pipe?
It's on the, I would have to say it's on the north corner, I gotta get the, No, I'm sorry, it's on the south.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
on the-
remove
the-
pipe
She's
on
looking at the house left-hand side.
Yeah.
south, what? Help me
So,
out there.
existing patio to remain, it's right off of that wall.
Wait, okay.
There was an
Existing,
old condensing unit.
Got
out
it.
there. Remember that? They had fished the refrigerant
wait a
lines
minute,
through that conduit.
wait a minute, south? Where's it?
It's actually, it's to the east, it's way, here, I'll show you.
Can somebody just come over here and show me? Thank you.
It is right here, coming out here somewhere.
All right,
And it's substantial, it's 6 inch.
all right, pipe. Oh, got it.
And it's scheduled 40, so it wasn't just,
All right, so we're gonna remove the pipe as identified. We're gonna change the plethora to normal and not the
yeah, the
Not the
Juliana. We're gonna remove number 11 from the planting notes. We're removing the
Yeah.
low-impact lawn maintenance from the planting notes, and
Yeah.
we're removing the existing tree. So we need a revised landscape plan depicting all of those changes, plus the removal of the pipe.
you know, there's a lot of changes there.
Yeah, it's
I-
from the
I'd
previous
like them,
project.
they were supposed to, Mike kind of felt like I thought the other night that he was gonna bring all this in, because it was pretty clear what we asked for. And with Russ going out and seeing the neighbor's concern of the whacking of the wetland, I would like to see a plan, you know, a revision to this before we vote the order.
We have to vote the order.
You have to
Okay,
vote
we
the
have to
order.
vote
You
the order.
closed
Well, let's
the
wait, can
thing.
we wait? Oh, we can't wait one more
We
week.
can't wait. We have to
Okay.
vote the order.
And it would be
Wait,
2
wait,
weeks
wait, let me
anyway.
let me think about this for a minute.
Unless we all want to come in and sign something, which we don't want to do.
No, we can do it, and you know what?
We didn't see it.
You know what, we can say, submit the revised plan, and the revised plan, can go into effect, with the commission's approval. Usually, we'll just submit the
Yeah,
revised plan.
but-
We can do a revised plan that will require the
Yeah,
commission's
no work
approval.
can be done until
work, yeah.
the commission has reviewed the revised plan.
Okay, no work
Yeah,
done
reviewed and approved.
until, yeah, and we've done this before.
Yeah.
We've done this before on major changes where you guys have had to review the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, no work until revised plan. Okay, let me ask you a question. Viewed and approved. What are you looking for more? I could probably help you.
I was looking at the minutes to see what we did say.
Do you want them to take that pipe out before you, are you gonna allow them to take that pipe out in case something has to change?
Well, you could allow that under an administrative, we'll give you the,
Oh gee, thanks.
we'll give you the onus to do it under an administrative approval.
That's fine. I'm just gonna put the pipe removal under the order and we'll figure it out from
And
there.
we also had an irrigation thing, remember we said there's no irrigating or anything else?
Yeah, because that's the bylaw
Yeah,
issue
okay,
because of
yeah.
Oyster Pond.
Just out of curiosity, given the number of changes on this,
You guys are gonna, you guys are gonna review it and approve it.
No, I understand. I'm just talking about procedure based on this. Would we have been, in hindsight, better off to have told them to continue it?
Yes.
Yes.
I think we've got to be, when we're doing these things and we're listening, I think we have to be going down the road a little more mindful. So it puts the onus on them. I mean, we shouldn't be sitting here worrying about this. We put it back on them. They want to get us something approved, come in with the complete book. If they don't, if it isn't complete and we want changes, then it delays their project. We have to be a little bit more hard on this.
That works for me, Court. You got my
back on that one,
thanks.
Yeah. So move to adopt the approval order as discussed.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstention? Abstention, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 and 1, no, 6
6
yes,
You're
1.
consistent, you abstained in the last one, too.
Courtney said no.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.